Hey guys, happy Sunday. It's Tara with Kittens, Weights, and Tarot, and I'm welcoming you to this beautiful Sunday. I wish that I could take you guys outside, but it's a little windy, and I don't want all the in the microphone. So instead, we have this gorgeous view. We'll just flip it over. You can see that the ice is finally melting, the snow is melting. It's nice and warm outside. I know it doesn't look like it's warm, but technically it's warm. It's the wind that's cold. But anyway, for those of you that are joining in for the very first time, or those of you that are watching the replay and haven't hung out with us in a live chat before, you can check out more about me on my website, kittensweightsandtarot.com. My link for that is down below. You can also check out my witchy shop that I own with James from Light of Riga. You can find his crystal shop on Etsy, Light of Riga, all one word. But our little witchy shop is Desert Cauldron. And if you want to follow us over on the grams, it's at desert.cauldron. All right, you guys. So we have a winner for the poll. So the winning theme, I'm going to add a little extras to today's theme, and then of course we are going to do our weekly reading. So what energy is coming up for us for this week? Any lessons? Any things that we should watch out for? Anything that we should embrace? We'll dive right in. I have my tea going here, nice hot Himalayan green tea. Caitlin is here. She said, "Merry meet from my new, hopefully temporary home." All right, Caitlin is in her new home. I'm so glad that everything worked out well for you, and now you are safe and sound. Hello, Lisa and Susie. What is up? Caitlin says she has the mystical journey and whispers of aloha ready. I like that. Janine is here. Aloha. um, Caitlin said it's -1 right now. Well, I shall not talk about the cold then. I have no say if you got -1 going on over there. It's supposed to be in the 40s here, like the upper 40s, which is great. Wow. Um, yeah, definitely. Susie's like, gosh, Caitlin. Hey, everybody. Edgar is here. He says, hey, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Many blessings. Same to you. And our buddy Marcus. Marcus says, good evening. It says Kin 226, World Bridger, Tone 5, past plus present equals future. Heck yeah. Hey, Lisa. Everybody saying hello, skis. We have Carrie here. Hello. She says, hey, everyone, first time catching a live. Well, welcome, welcome. We're happy to have you. Peg says, greetings, lovelies. Hello to Peg. All right. All right, all the homies are here. It'll probably get too warm at some point, and maybe I'll take this off. But yeah, for now I just want to get a little toasty warm. Get this tea going. It might still be a little too hot, but that's okay. All right, so today, first off, for those who are new to our live chats and how we come up with the themes for our live chats, I put a poll out on my YouTube channel page. So I always give people 4 choices of what they would like to see in the following Sunday's live chat. I also post that same poll to my YouTube members. I also post it to my Patreon page. So technically, if you are a YouTube member and a Patreon, then that means you have more than one vote. So if there's something you really want to see during a live chat, that means you can get your extra little ins in for that particular theme. Okay, but the winning theme for this week was past lives. And just behind that, it seemed like my YouTube members and my patrons really wanted to learn about what their biggest shadow is for healing. You know, that we all have shadows, we all have programming traumas. Even if we had a hunky dory childhood and everything was just great in our life, we've had multiple past lives, and that's actually what we're going to get into today is past lives. But for the super chats and super stickers, if anybody would like to look into the past life that has been the source of or contributed to their biggest shadow that you currently have in the present, we can take a look at that. That way we can kind of incorporate what my patrons, my YouTube members wanted, as well as what the public wanted, which was the past lives. So I have some decks here for you guys. And first of all, if we're going to be doing past lives, I have 3 different past life decks that I use technically for, but one of them I use for a past life reading that I do on my website. You know, if you're actually interested in like a full on reading on that, there's a particular deck that I use for that. But for this live chat, I'm going to be using the Uncover Your Past Lives Oracle by Mandy Peterson. Okay, so we have that. And then I don't know if I'm going to get to all these decks, but I'm just going to have them here on the table. This one is called the Cute Little Lenormand. I keep forgetting the name, so I had to have the guidebook out because I'm like, what is the name of this deck? Because it's not like it has a box or anything. So yeah, Cute Little Lenormand. We have, I also have the Metaphysical Cannabis Oracle with us. And my decks seem to be matching the tablecloth that I put out for January. I have a very like rhinestone-y, sparkly tablecloth. I also have the Pot Tarot. I know it seems kind of Mary Jane themed, but whatevs. And also Tarot for the Great Outdoors, which is one that I got from James for Yule/Christmas. So yeah, and I guess they are kind of like similar colors, whatevs. All right, so let's see. Let's go back here. Do, 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 do. Marcus says the 14th of January 2024 is 14. It's a holy number. 1 plus 4 plus 1, 2, 2, 4, 1. 4 equals 1, 4, 1, 8, which equals 6 plus 8, which equals 14. So 14 today is the constellation in Danista, or the Great Dolphin constellation. Very cool. Wow. Caitlin says, on my phone, so I'll try to keep up as best I can. All right. Hey, no worries, no worries. We realize you just moved, so it's it's totally cool. All right, and Lady Night is here. Happy Sunday, Maria. Carrie says, thanks for the warm welcome. Everyone, Lisa saying hi, Peg. We'll be channeling Joey Ramone soon on her channel. You guys go check out Lisa's Cigar Box Guitar. She's doing stuff over on the Grams, but also over on YouTube, where she's making some lovely diddly bows and other cool instruments, as well as paintings that she's done through her channelings and things like that. So lots of good stuff. I just watched her like January update. So she's definitely one to go check out. Lisa rocks. I do agree. Caitlin was wondering why she keeps losing family in all past lives. I have found that, well, doing my own past life stuff and then working with others in their past life readings, that usually when there's a continuous theme, it stems from one major event that could have occurred in past life, could have occurred in a future life, because remember, outside this third dimension, time doesn't exist. So what we might see as the future is happening now. What we might see as the past is also happening right now in the present. Everything is now. So if we see this like continual theme, there probably is a catalyst to that theme. Again, either happening in this life that went to those other lives, the past life that's contributing to future and present, and also future contributing to present and past. And then we just kind of see it repeated and repeated until we either find a way to break the cycle, what the cycle was, if there's just something that we have to release about it, if there's a lesson that we had to learn about it. It's usually different for everyone, but it's the pinpointing the catalyst and then figuring out what we can do about it here in this present moment. So that'd be interesting to take a look into. Lisa says, love you girls. Susie has posted Lisa's channel. If you want to go check her out, that would be fabulous. All right. Wow, that is still quite warm. So let's let's go ahead and sling some cards for the week first, and then let's get into our past life stuff, our past life readings. And then after that, if there's anybody that would like to do super chats or super stickers for looking into the past life that has contributed to your biggest shadow so that you can work on that on your own time, we can take a look into that as well. Okay, so let's take a look at this weekly reading. First and foremost, I want to show you guys a crystal that I'm working with this week. And this is this freaking powerful Lodolite crystal. And this is one that James had gifted me a few years ago, actually. Got this around Christmas time from him. And I absolutely love it. It's really good, at least for me personally, because everybody works with crystals differently. I personally find it to be really good with dream recall, meditation, like going into some deep meditation, especially if I have to do some shadow work. I want to have Lodolite around. If there's something that I want to work out in the astral in my dream state, I'll put this underneath my pillow, which is what I have been doing. I've been having some very strange dreams, but I know that they're healing dreams, but maybe my logic brain just doesn't quite understand them when they get translated into 3D, right? So yeah, go my Lodolite. If you are interested in other pieces of Lodolite, maybe not this fancy, nah, I'm just kidding. There are wonderful pieces of Lodolite over in James's shop. So and what's cool about him having his shop right here is because I get to work with all of his crystals, and he handpicks all of his crystals. If he doesn't feel like it's a good vibrational match, he won't pick up the crystals. So everything that he sells is something that he feels would be really good for people to work with, every single piece. So definitely check out his shop, Light of Riga. I have his link down below in case you guys are interested as well. All right, so Lisa says, I'm putting the Peace and Love Diddly Bow video up tonight. Oh, I can't wait to see. Peg said, wowza. Aurora said, the first two cards from the mystical journey, she got trust and self-care with afterlife at the bottom of the deck. Interesting. Edgar says, I need to go crystal shopping. I need to add some more crystals, especially quartz. Dude, if I just had to have one crystal, oh, hello, bird. What's up, Jay? This is like a bird just like right at the window staring at me. But if I had to just have one crystal, I would say it would be quartz. It's good for a wide range of things. It is a master crystal. It's clear, it's concise, it helps with meditation, it helps me connect to my higher self, it helps to clear things. It's just, I would say quartz. Caitlin said, OMG, birds again. Yes. Let's see if he'll stay there for you guys. I don't know if you can see, but he's actually in the tree right. I don't know. You guys right there? I don't know. Yeah, he's over there. There you go. You might see him just kind of bobbing his head around. He's on the branch that's holding the lantern that's hanging. What's up? What's up, Blue Jay? What you doing? You gonna hang out for this live chat? Yeah. Yeah, you're pretty rad. I think you're ready to give us some downloads. Well, I'm happy to listen. So he's just trying to hold on to the branch. He knows it's kind of gusty out there. All right. Excuse me. Lisa says, I like birdies. Edgar says, plus it's shiny and reflects light very well. Yes, of course. Oh, and he's off. I have a feeling he's going to be back. Caitlin says, I always get birds when I use any animal deck. I feel like birds are my spirit guides. They probably are. They probably are. All right. Oh, Susie has also posted James's YouTube channel in case you guys are interested. But again, you can also check him out on the grams at Light of Riga in case you want to see any of his musings and his stories or his crystal postings. I know that everything that he posts, he does it from a place of love in his heart. He's a Scorpio. Sometimes I know that he comes off as intense, but really what he's trying to do is he wants to bring up people's shadows and places in need of healing so that we can be confronted by them so that we can heal them. So, yes, he does trigger people from time to time, but that is on purpose because if we don't get triggered, we don't know what our shadows are, and then we don't know where to heal. And so I think he's really, really good at that. That's something I need to maybe learn more of. And then he can learn more of my, I guess, my chatty side. Like, we just kind of like help each other out there. um, Susie says, but you can go over there too. Peg says, sub to you both. Ah, thank you, thank you. Okay, you guys, let's go ahead and dive in. Caitlin has already started us off with some awesome cards. I'm going to pull from Wally's World, just a theme card, and then I want to pull, you know what? Let's get crazy. Let's just use all the decks minus the past lives deck for this weekly reading. I think it'll be fun skis. More cards the merrier. Lisa said that's cool. I trigger people all the time. Yeah, and there was so much for me and my own shadows to learn that like when I was still like trying to learn about myself. At first, I thought, well, if people are trying to trigger me, like they're just trying to be mean to me. Until I realized, well, they're showing a side of me that I don't get to see very often because it's not like I'm getting triggered every single day. So when I do, it's stuff that comes up that maybe I wasn't even aware of because it lurks in my shadows. That's why we call it a shadow. It's stuff that my ego doesn't acknowledge. So I think it's not there until it comes up. And then I'm like, oh, well, crap. Why is this coming up? And then we can get in even deeper. It's like, okay, maybe it wasn't the person trying to quote unquote be mean, but they did trigger me. So why am I being triggered? Why is what they said, or maybe something that they did, or whatever it may be, why is that coming up for me? And then the healing takes place. So thank you to all the people out there who have ever triggered me. Thank you, thank you. And I say that James has quite a difficult job here on earth because they always say don't shoot the messenger, but well, some people get really angry at the messenger. So, he's just going to keep doing what he does best, healing in his way, and I heal in my way. And together, I think we make a really good duo. So, what I call us the other day, I call this sugar and spice. Let's see. Susan said, I love you. Peg said, I was like, I want hazel eyes. And they're all like, okay, but that comes with a side we like to call trigger. Nice. Lisa said, I accept myself as I am, my loves. Us too. Us too. Peg says, and I was like, yeah, I love tigers. Peg says, just have fun with myself. Don't mind me. Hey, we have fun with ourselves. Like, don't take us too seriously. Seriously. All right. So let's see what Wally has cooked up for us this week. Let's see what he, according to him, might be the theme. And if you're wondering who Wally is this little guy right here. He is my little Siamese puma. He's my little Siamese kitten. He has a adopted brother named Loki, who is a cross between a sable Burmese and a Black American short hair. And they both live with their dad in San Diego. And I just love that no matter where I go, I feel their energy everywhere. So they are in my meditations, they are in my dreams, especially Wally. And he's always been like my little guide. I know that he is an actual live kitten here on Earth, but in the astral, that kitten is everywhere. And he has so much wisdom to share, which is why I wanted to create an oracle deck utilizing his energy. So he's not the main focus of this deck. He's just a guide. He's just here to kind of show you the way, and then you kind of figure it out from yourself from there, utilizing your own higher self and your intuition. So let's see what he has for us. All right, looks like we have our card. I thought it was going to be that card. All right. Um, Susie says, I trigger people with my kindness. Sounds weird, but they can't handle it. Hey, I've seen that happen too. Caitlin Sotera, there's an adorable Japanese bobtail here named Felix. I think you'd like him. Oh, little Felix. You're going to have to send me some pictures on the grounds because although I love all animals, I have a special little affinity with cats and kittens. So so definitely, yeah, send some pictures. Peg says, I'm just blunt. You could smoke me if you wanted. Nice. I like it. This is half the time I don't even realize I've triggered them. That happens with me too. Like sometimes I'll trigger people uh and then I'm just like, but what did I do? But what did I do though? And it's like, my higher self's like, my ego's like, what just happened? Oh my goodness. Caitlin says, if he'll let me, I will. Excellent. Lisa says, it's your light, Susie. It's too bright for dark vibe people. And Sister said, Janine, I hear ya. All right. So we have this card here. Are those jellyfish? Yes, they are jellyfish. This was actually taken at an aquarium that my best friend since like seventh grade, he took his family to the aquarium in Phoenix. And that was one of the pictures he took and he sent to me as it being his sacred space, a place of openness and mysticism. And you might just say like, well, that's an aquarium, but for him it allows him to be still, in a world full of chaos and four grown boys. His home can be quite loud. Everybody's chatting and laughing and talking and all of that, but he says when you're at the aquarium it's quiet, and he says just watching the jellyfish just move slowly. He says, like they're moving in slow motion, like they're almost in another dimension. He says it was like, he says, I get to just be present. I'm not worried about what's going on at work. I'm not worried about what boy number one, boy number two, boy number three, or boy number four wants. He's all, I get to just be in the moment, and all I'm focusing on are these jellyfish. And so to him, that was his sacred space. And that's why we have it included here in the deck. But I also feel like that's part of the message for this week is to slow down. And I know that's easier said than done because we have all of this life stuff that comes up. We have our friend Caitlin who just moved. So I know that you guys are all busy doing things. But if you can find at least once a day something that brings you straight to the present, not a distraction, but something that brings you into the present where you are aware of your breathing. You are aware for that moment in time, the beating of your heart. You're aware of the thoughts that are going through your mind. And it's not just a jumbled, erratic mess that's just passing on through, but you're like, what am I actually thinking about at this moment? It might be a lot of work things that are coming up. Maybe you're worried about a friend. Maybe you're worried about your health. Maybe, whatever it may be, it's good to be cognizant about the rattling thoughts going on inside of our head, so that we can get to the root of those. Well, if I'm really worried about, let's say, a friend, why is that? Maybe it's bringing up stuff about your own life. Since this is a friend, this is somebody that you're connected to, so you might see parallels between their life and your life. But bringing yourself to the present helps you to see those things that might otherwise get overlooked in a very busy lifestyle. So whatever it is that helps bring you guys to the present, whether it's just shuffling your cards, maybe you're not even doing any readings for yourself, but just the act of shuffling your tarot cards, or maybe you have fish at home, you have your own little aquarium and you just want to watch your fish, or if you have other little animals, you just want to watch them. Maybe you have children and for the moment you just want to sit back and you're not worried about what they're doing. You're not thinking about what's the next thing or what I'm going to make for dinner. It's, I'm just observing them. Just observing right now. I'm taking 5 minutes out of my day and I just want to observe. Or for me, I'm sitting next to this window. Maybe I just want to take 5 minutes out and just look at what the birds are doing. I'm not trying to judge the birds. I'm not trying to figure out what they're thinking. I'm not trying to tap into their higher selves at the moment. I just want to watch them and I want to be present. I want to hear the wind. I want to see the junipers swaying in the breeze. I want to see the snow melting under the rays of the sun. I just want to be present. And I think that that's going to be really helpful for this week. So it sounds like a lot is coming up this week, hence why it would be really good for us to get grounded and present. But just kind of keep that in mind. If things get hectic this week, if a lot is happening, whether it's in your personal world or in the outer world, take 5 minutes to bring yourself into the present, because otherwise we're going to get swept away in a tidal wave of energy. So, all right. Thank you, Wally, for bringing that to our attention. Let's see what you guys have here. Do, do, do. Susie said, beautiful. Peg said, what color are your eyes, Liesel? Just wondering now. Caitlin said, it's hard to do that when the nurses keep everyone on a schedule, but I'll try. Yeah, just a little something to yourself. I know, especially when things are on a schedule, like let's say a student who's on a school schedule, and they're going about their school day. It might be hard for them to get 5 minutes for themselves, but maybe they raise their hand. I got to go to the bathroom. And in that bathroom break, they just, at least I know I used to do that as a teacher. I didn't actually like go to the bathroom, but I just wanted to like decompress for just a few minutes and then I'll get back to my classes. But it was just like to bring myself back, because back when I was a teacher, if I was all over the board, like then my students are going to be all over the board, right? Because they're just going to be mirroring my energy. And so if I can bring myself back in a grounded energy, I found that my classroom was much more grounded as well. So yeah, let's say, Caitlin, let's say the nurses are all about staying on schedule. If you can, I don't know, take a bathroom break or something where you can just get a few minutes to yourself, maybe the shift in your energy helps them to shift their energy, because, they're probably, hectic and busy, and they probably might appreciate some of that good juju that you have to pass off to them. Uh, John is here. Hey, dude, how are you? Caitlin says, Mary, meet John. Peg welcoming him in. Peg said, fastest pew pew in town. Good job. Wrenches. Wow. Caitlin says, apparently I'm the fifth woman here out of 19 people. Really? I could not tell you everybody's gender in here. All I see is like just little numbers and then feeling energy, which energy doesn't really have a gender to me. So interesting. Edgar says, I'd go to the library instead of the restroom for a few minutes of book relaxation, then run back to class. Nice. Yeah, I was a bathroom person. I'd be like, Mrs. Castaneda, I gotta go to the baño. She's like, okay, be right back. All right, wink, wink, I'll be right back. I like when the teachers made you take an entire toilet seat as the bathroom key, just so you would be embarrassed and like want to come back to class, because who wants to carry around a toilet seat? But there were so many crazy things back when I was in high school that were used as the bathroom key. Toilet seats, rubber chickens. There was one that was a t-shirt hanging off of a chain. The t-shirt said dunce on it. That's back when they could call us dunces. That was the 90s, you guys. Um, oh my gosh, it was so many things. Somebody, it was like, I don't know, one of the bathroom keys, it looked like it was on one of those giant old school rings with a bunch of iron keys on it. It looked like dungeon keys. And we're always like, what do all these keys go to? And the teacher's like, wouldn't you like to know? I'm like, what? Oh my goodness. Yeah. Oh, she's saying where she is. Yeah. And John said, I felt like a power we have as empathy is to fill a room with good vibes when it's been filled with heavy ones. Exactly. And Edgar said, I only used the restroom for a smoke break. Well, so did my friends. So did my friends. Okay, so let's see what else we have cooked up for this week. I'm going to pull a card from each of the 4 decks that I have here. So one's going to come from the Cannabis Oracle. Caitlin says, it's a low income building for people like me, 14 men and 5 women. Oh, I see. I see. Okay, sorry. Now I get you. Yeah, there's my dad's side of the family. They live in Section 8 housing. And so, like my aunt, when she was still alive, she used to have a nurse that would come in from time to time. It was at one point where there was a nurse that came in every day for a certain amount of time a day to kind of take care of my aunt. And then it was just like a few times a week. But yeah, my uncles, my aunt, they're in Section 8 housing, and I do appreciate that there's help out there for them because they do live with disability, and it definitely makes it easier for them when there's somebody coming in trying to help them out, helping them get their groceries and things like that, so that they can, continue to live a full and healthy life. Oh, it looks like we have our card, so I'm going to put that down. All right. Let's see. Let's also pull a card from the pot tarot, because pot tarot. And Edgar was talking about his smoke break. Okay, let's see here. All righty. Da, da, da. And we'll pull a card from a tarot for the great outdoors. Okay, what do we need to know for this week? Okay. And let's pull a card from the cute little Lenormand. All righty. All right, looks like we have our card. Okay. All right, so let's take a look at these one by one. First, we have crystal technology, silicon. Interesting. Caitlin says, I really like one of the other women, Kelly. She and her boyfriend are really nice. Aw, she's only a couple years older than me. That's awesome. Making friends already. um, all right, so we have our crystal technology, followed by the Empress. Interesting. Then we have the Seven of Swords, which in this deck is the Seven of Pipes. All right. And then lastly, from the cute little Lenormand, we have the Rider. Okay, so let's put these all together. Let me pick these up for you guys. Okay. Peg said, cool cards. I love their colors. Okay, so again, it's the Rider, the Seven of Swords, the Empress, and we have Crystal Technology. Lily is here. Hello, Grand Rising, she says. And Caitlin says, Kelly found Felix and has been taking care of him ever since. That's wonderful. Okay, so let me go into these cards. Okay, it makes sense with the card that I pulled at the very beginning with Wally here about making sure that we find some time to bring ourselves back to the present and keep ourselves grounded. Because it does look like we'll have quite a bit of energy coming up for us this week, whether it's busy type energy, mentally busy energy, but definitely a very ungrounded, chaotic kind of energy, which can be good and useful at times, but maybe not so useful when we're trying to get other things done. It's very hard to do when we are ungrounded. But it feels like within that energy, there's going to be some messages coming in. Either the messages are coming in from your higher self, or the messages coming in from your higher self by way of synchronicity and the universe, which for a lot of people, a lot of synchronicity has been coming up a lot lately, right? Where they start seeing like the repeating numbers, or we were just talking about something and now I see it in a movie that I'm watching. Those types of synchronicities where it's like, wait a minute, that was just on my mind, or I was just talking about that. And here it is being represented once again, or maybe I saw it in a tarot card, things like that. But our ability to catch those types of messages and synchronicities all depends on how grounded we are and how present we are. Because if we're moving from here to here to here to here, and 111 keeps coming up for me, like 111, 111, and I'm moving all around, I'm like, oh cool, it's 1111. My mind is so scattered and elsewhere that I didn't even take the time to recognize that, oh shoot, my higher self was probably trying to send me a message right now, like 1111, or that there was a synchronicity going on. And so that's why it's going to be imperative that we try to stay present and grounded, because the messages coming in, our higher selves, they don't just talk for the sake of talking. Like my ego, yes, will talk for the sake of sometimes hearing myself talk. But my higher self is a lot more poignant. So my higher self's like, okay, Chica, I have something to say. Boom, here's my message. But if my ego is running the show and I'm ungrounded, I'm not going to hear that message. So, whatever the message may be, it looks like it's going to be different types of messages, but something to definitely help us along throughout the rest of the month and throughout the rest of the year, because it seems like these aren't just like little messages like, oh, don't forget to do this, or don't forget to like put gas in the Jeep. No, it's a lot more than that. I feel like the messages are a lot bigger, having to pertain to our journey. They're pertaining to our healing, our shadows, um, perhaps even different people that we're meant to align ourselves with. Like I was getting a feeling right now that if like the higher self kept reminding me, hey, you have to go grocery shopping, and you may feel like, oh, but that's like a whatevs, like why does my higher self care if I go grocery shopping now or later? But it's important because there's somebody that you meet there at the grocery store, whether it's in line, it's the cashier, and maybe you're not creating a long term friend there, but it's something that somebody says, or it's somebody that that you haven't seen in a really long time, and it's just imperative that you guys connect once again for at least the 5 minutes that you see each other at the store. So there is something bigger from that message, if that makes sense. So staying open to the messages, whatever they may be, but being able to acknowledge that those messages are there is going to be time to when we keep ourselves grounded and keep ourselves present. And I was talking about crystals earlier when I was talking about this lodolite, and I was saying that it's really good at helping me with the deeper meditations, helping me to stay focused and clear. And when they were talking about the crystal technology here, maybe there is a crystal that you want to utilize to maybe help you to stay grounded. Maybe you feel it in your pocket and you're like, oh yeah, my petrified wood, or my tiger's eye, or whatever it may be, my boji stones. Oh, okay, yeah, that's right. A little reminder to stay present. Okay, got it. I'm just gonna chill out for the next few minutes, and then it's back to go, go, go. But um, if you want to utilize a crystal in that manner, that might be helpful this week as well. Because otherwise, with this like Seven of Swords here, the ego might just have us whiz right on by those messages that are meant for us. And don't worry, with the higher self doesn't give up. So if you've maybe missed the message, the higher self is rather insistent, so they're going to keep blasting that message, but probably best to catch it on the first go around. um, all right, so let's see what you guys have here. Do, do, do. Everybody's saying hello to Lily. She's saying thank you for the warm welcome. Edgar says, I got the Seven of Wands, being on top of things, the Chariot, a journey of emotional and spiritual balance and control, and King of Swords, mastering your diplomacy and communication skills. Excellent. Butterfly Love Child, what's up? She says, the Great Outdoors Tarot is so lovely, but it just won't read for me. Oh, I do love the art though. I mean, the freaking colors are amazeballs. Edgar says, in other words, learning to balance my emotions and thoughts. Excellent. Lily says she is also resonating with what Edgar said. Edgar said, love child, that's what happened to me. I find a beautiful deck, but the symbology just doesn't speak to me. Caitlin says, Edgar, I think it was you. I took your advice about using rosemary and lavender in my shower. My shampoo and conditioner is rosemary and mint, and my body wash is lavender. Oh, I remember that from last week. Caitlin was thinking about maybe taking a bath, a shower, And Edgar was suggesting some essential oils for her to use or some herbs. Edgar says, Aurora, nice. How'd that make you feel? I bet she was nice and chillaxed. All righty. Excellent. Excellent. Love the cards. All right. So let me just put these back here. All right, you guys. Are you ready for some past life stuff? Okay. So this is what I want to do. First of all, for those that just came in, for the past life readings, I'm going to be using the Uncover Your Past Lives Oracle. And how this works, these are round cards and they're two-sided just like this. Caitlin says, I think my phone is missing some of the chat. Oh, sometimes that happens because I do live chats through my cell phone here because I can't really do it through my computer. So sometimes I miss some of the chat too. So um but anyway, on one side, it'll give you a bunch of information about, let's say, a particular life. Like, let's say what the trauma was, maybe what your faith was at the time, your love life, your identity, the time frame, the lesson, how you passed, the location, and yeah, the trauma. I think we talked about that. But on the other side, this side has actually nothing to do with this side. So it's like kind of how you get to be creative, how you want to toss these cards. And because you do toss them, you kind of like throw them and it's like however it lands. I don't know, you could do some readings. Anyway, on the back is a particular type of theme depending on how you toss the card and where it landed. Like, let's say this theme for technology, it tells you about the use of technology, technological progress, abuse of technology, or technological disaster as being the theme of that particular past life. So you could do a reading based on that. I'm going to kind of flip these around for our readings. Oops, some of these are upside down. Whoops. Okay, well, it doesn't matter. Anyway, so we'll do that. I want to look at the past life for each of you guys um, that has the most significance on this present life. But like I mentioned before, in my personal belief system, as I've done my meditations and stuff, I see outside this third dimension as having no time. Like everything is at once, past, present, and future happening all at the same time. So when we go to heal, let's say something in our 3D linear past, it's helpful because outside this realm, that past is still happening. For instance, I'm still being born, at this moment. And my future is also happening right at this moment. So not only am I being born, but I am also dying all at the same time. And then there's me here in the middle. But they're all wrapped up and they're all working at once. So all the lives I've ever had or ever will have, including this current life, in all of the timelines that I'm in, because we're in multiple timelines. So, and there's an infinite number of timelines. So there's an infinite number of versions of me talking or not talking right now, which just kind of like blows my little noodle sometimes. But so how I like to look at this past life is basically a life that is not past, but a life that is still occurring and a life that can aid me as much as I can aid it right now in this moment. Um, so I want to do that. I want to look at a life that has the most relevance on your current life. Then I would like to do super chats and super stickers afterwards for anybody who would like to look at the past life that is the contributor to their biggest shadow, which you have here in the present, so that you can work on your healing in the ways that you do your own personal healing. So if that sounds like fun to you guys, let's go ahead and jump into it. But let's see. Let's go back here. Lisa, hey. Sure, 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 sure. Uh, Lisa, do you have a particular question? By the way, she has been a YouTube member for 20 months. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Love you, girl. Um, but yeah, did you have a particular question, or would you like to do the looking into the past life that has contributed to the biggest shadow in this current life? We could take a look at that. Okay, Caitlin was refreshing over there. Edgar says, I'm wondering if this lifetime I need to learn to relax and chill. Just how stressful was my past life? Peg said, how exciting. Michelle, hey, hey. Oh, Susie, yeah, we could definitely do a super chat for you as well. Um, Kumar is here. Hello, hello. Uh, Caitlin said, oh, card not working. Might have been due to the move, possibly. Okay, Lisa wants to look at past life shadow. I'll be more than happy to pull that for you. Lily said, funny you say that about past, present, and future. When I end any of my workings, etc., I always say past, present, and future. I love that. You know what? Maybe I should start adding that to the end of my spell works. I like that. That's cool. I dig that for sure. Susie said, mine is who was Cameron to me in my past life? All right, let's do it. All right, so maybe you guys can see how this works when I pull this for Liesel and for Susie. And then if you guys are, any of you other guys are interested, we could do it for you as well. All right, Liesel, let's shuffle these up. I want to pull, let's see, the theme of that shadow origination, as well as the life itself. So let's dive in. We'll figure out what that shadow is. Lisa. You know, Lisa, as soon as I was tapping into your energy, I heard the name Charlie. I don't know where Charlie's coming from. Charlie. And checkers. Interesting. Okay, so we're going to pull a theme. I'm just tossing it real quick. And then let me see about her life. Oh, all right. All right. Okay. Are you ready, Lisa? Oh my goodness. Um, Lisa said, thank you, miss. Lisa said, that's a compliment coming from you. Well, thank you for the suggestion. I deeply appreciate it. Okay. The theme from this past life had to do with mania. So, the inner workings of the mind, fearing one's mind, feeling that the mind has run away with itself and I'm unable to catch it or understand it. So, that was the theme of that past life. And there it is, right there. And then let's take a look into it, like where and all of this. Okay, so it's saying for a location, this took place in Africa. Um, your faith was more of an ascetic one. The love that you had at the time was a more obsessive type love. So I'm getting this feeling of needing this person, like I need their love in order to feel whole. So becoming quite obsessed with all of their emotions, not quite understanding your emotions and your own self-love. So putting all of your faith and all of your identity into another, so becoming quite obsessive. This identity was a man, a husband, being quite obsessive with his wife. The time frame that this took place in was the early modern age in Africa. How you passed was through dementia, because again, feeling like I can't control the mind, I can't control the mind. So what you manifested was a mind that decided to be under its own volition, its own control. Okay, the trauma at the time was feelings of abandonment, because I do have this feeling that this man that you were, again, a fragment of your soul, wanted so much from this woman to have like, I want to feel whole. I want to feel loved. There's something missing in me and I need to have it from her. Not understanding that you could give this to yourself called, well, we know now, we know it's self-love. Um, but wanting to take from her. And I feel like you truly did love her, but it went beyond that. It became obsessive, which kind of falls out of the realm of love and more just wanting to take of this person's emotions, take of this person's energy. And you didn't understand that it was hurting this other person because in your mind, you just truly loved them. And it felt like this is how I show my love. And doesn't she understand how much I love her? But it ended up pushing her away. The closer you grasped at holding her near, she left. And then from that, it was like you had nothing else for the ego to latch onto. So it became like this like prison of the mind of like, well, then I don't know how to love myself. I don't know how to have somebody else help make me feel better because I don't know how to feel better myself. Um, so the lesson in it was gluttony, and it was just the wanting so much of something that I feel I don't have within me. So whether it was a person in your life, it seemed like it, it wasn't just relegated to your romantic relationship, but it was in all parts of your life. So not only were you obsessive about your wife, but you were also obsessive about work. You were also obsessive about food. You were obsessive about things, obsessive about money, that all of these things were meant to fill you up in this past life. So of course, the ego is like running, amok, 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 and it feels much like losing one's mind when actuality, the higher self was trying to talk to this person the whole entire time, but with the ego making this person believe that they needed all these things, including people outside of themselves, in order for them to feel whole, they could never really truly understand that the mind was never in charge. It was the higher self all along. And I think now in this lifetime, kind of, being friends with you and understanding you, that I feel like you are working on that in this life. You are understanding about like who is Liesel really, and you're finding ways to love yourself, and finding ways to also express that love to others, but through a grounded place instead of through an obsessive place. So I do feel like you're actually working on healing that shadow in this lifetime. Um, so yeah, I would suggest maybe um, in your next meditation, your next healing session, whenever that is, to see if you can connect to this man in Africa, um, and see if you can help to send him love. Because remember, if there is no time outside of this third dimension, this 3D world, then he's still quite alive. He's still going through his traumas. He's still going through all of that, and he would greatly benefit from the person that you've become, your how your soul has evolved into the Liesel that we know you as. Liesel has a lot to offer him, and I think that by doing that, you'll start to see changes in your present world as well. Because this guy over here, he's desperately seeking help. Let's see if there's anything else. No, that's it. But I do feel his energy shifting, like somebody's coming to help me. I don't think he quite knows yet that it's himself coming back to help himself, but I think you're going to make a huge impact in that person's life. And I know I keep talking about him as if he's a separate person. It's technically you, but also not you, because it's just a fragment of your soul. But he's going to benefit from what you have in this lifetime. So, all right. Lisa said, okay. Hey, KDS worker is here. All right. We have some people to pull some cards on. I'm super excited. We have our friend Susie next, and she wanted to know about um, Who was Cameron to her in a past life? Okay, so we can definitely take a look at that. And then we can get to our friend Kamar. Sure, sure, sure. We'd be happy to do so. And our friend Michelle and Lily. All right. Okay, okay. So let me go back to Susie. All right, Susie, let's see. Whew, I'm feeling like so much energy now. Alrighty then. Okay, let's have another sip of tea. Tea is kind of how I ground myself. Okay, Cameron. First, I just want to connect to both of your energies. Okay, so I want to pull a card. Cameron. All right. Interesting. Okay. So I'll read what it says on the card here, but then I'm going to go in intuitively and kind of put it all together. Okay. So he was still he was still a male in a past life, but you know, I know because we go through all different types of gender, but um, this particular past life connecting to you, his mother in this life, um, adult male taking place in the early Stone Age. His lesson was hubris. Passed away from an animal attack. Location would be the jungle. Um, some trauma that he acquired during that time was the accident, hence the animal attack. He had a more nature based faith because of kind of the era that he lived in and the place, location that he lived in. And he had a rather possessive type love. So let's tap into Cameron. It wasn't really Cameron at that time, but it's a fragment of his soul. And let's see how that connected to you and who you were at this time. Oh, okay. Okay, Susie, have an open mind. Okay, so it's showing me the type of person that Cameron's soul was in this previous life. And it was one of, how do I say, arrogance. Um, because athletically, he was like an excellent athlete. I know they didn't have sports at the time, it was more just staying alive. But he had great speed. He was very strong. He had a great mental capacity. Um, so many saw him as a leader because he didn't sit around for waiting for people to tell him what to do. You know, if he saw that there was action that needed to be taken, he would take that action. And which, you know, makes for a wonderful leader. He knew how to make sure that people in his tribe or his little community that they were fed. He knew how to seek out shelter. He did things that were very brave, you know, where other people might have been scared, you know, to go after, let's say, a particular animal for food or to travel into the unknown. um, Cameron's energy was that of like, I'm just going to go do it because I feel like I can take care of myself. I'm strong. I'm smart. I don't fear anything. But that energy was taken to the extreme where he ended up allowing his ego more than his intuition to begin guiding him because he actually had a really excellent intuition, hence why he knew that if I go here, I could find food. If I go here, I can find shelter. He just knew this intuitively. But his head started swelling up with all these people around him just saying, "Oh wow, like you're so smart, you're so strong, and we'll do whatever you say." And that kind of like his ego just ate that up, and he got to a point where it's like people will just do whatever I say. And so it was more of a show off one day, and I feel like he was quite young when this happened, where he said that he was going to take on a particular animal. And usually this felt like it was a multi-man job. Like there were several men, if they were going to go after this particular type of animal, um, you need other people working for you, because you cannot overpower the strength of like this 300-pound cat. Um, I'm feeling more like mountain lion-y, I guess, a type, I guess, of mountain lion, but not really a mountain lion. Um, but he wanted to prove even more how awesome he was. And who was this cat? Who was this mountain lion? But it was you, Susie. And in that lifetime, you wanted to teach him a lesson about what happens when we take these wonderful gifts of ours. He had a wonderful mind, wonderful, strength and agility and all of this. And it's like he threw it away for the ego. And you wanted to show him that um, that is an unbalanced way to live. And it's interesting that it came from a feline, because felines are all about balance. So there was a lesson in that as well. And so he went after this feline, this ginormous 400 pound feline, just to show off. Just not even wanting food, but that he wanted to show people that he could do it all by himself, so that they would love him even more. And so you took his life, and in the crossing over of your lives, where your souls met once again in the ethers, you were there to tell him, like, do you understand why I had taken your life during that time? I wanted to show you balance. I wanted to show you that you didn't need to show off in order to be a great person. You already were a great person. And so in this lifetime, now you are his mother, where you were, I guess it would be, mothers are teachers. So you were like his teacher in his past life. And I have no doubt that Cameron is a wonderful boy in this life. But I feel like in this lifetime, as his mom, you're here to help teach him that balance between his heart and his mind, his, 3D life and his spiritual life, between, what's the human Cameron wants, but also what his soul wants. And I think it's really helpful that you are in touch with your own spirituality, because you can guide him in that manner, helping him to heal actually from that past trauma. Um, and you've already been doing it. And it's interesting, when I looked into Liesel, when I look into Cameron and you, that it seems like we're already sort of doing the things that we need to do to heal that massive trauma, even if we weren't quite aware of it yet, that shadow. All right. Okay. Susie says, thank you. You are on fire. Thank you, my beautiful friend. You are welcome. She said, he is 1 degree Libra moon, trying to find balance. Whew. Oh my goodness. She was saying that makes sense. Caitlin says, Susie, I got letting go upright and resilience reversed. I feel like he takes his failures to heart. Yep, yep. And she said, I see this now sometimes. She says, everything you're saying is Cameron now, too. Wow. Oh, my goodness. All right. We have Butterfly Love Child as well. And KDS Worker, Karen. All right. All right. I'm so happy I get to. This is, by the way, that's why I offer past life readings in my shop, because I love doing past life. Like, it's just so interesting to me to look at all these people that we were, these animals that we were, energies, entities, aliens. It's just so fascinating to me. Okay, let me go back here. Do 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 do. Um, okay, so we have our friend Kamar says, I'm still processing the Andromeda channeling. It was very profound. I'd like to do a past life reading, the most significant past life. All right, you got it. Let's take a look ski. Um, Caitlin got for Lisa, strive for clarity, stretch and reach your dreams. Lisa says, I'm getting Charlie. I have known a few. Interesting. All right, Kamar. Let's take a look ski. So the past life that is the most significant to this life. All right. So let me ground real quick actually. Okay. Now let's tap into your energy. Very blue energy. Interesting. I just see you as a color, like a blue energy. All right, so let me pull the theme. It's the most significant to this life. So the shadow, the theme. All right. And now I'm going to pull a card of that life. Come on, come on. All right. Whew. All right. Um, it's interesting that there's snow outside. I don't know if you can see Kamar, but we we still have some snow that's melting here. But in your theme, it said an ice disaster, and it was talking about a blizzard. So that's interesting. That would be like the theme surrounding the shadow would be a blizzard. Hmm. All right, so let's take a look at the card that was pulled, all the different aspects of this particular life. It says it took place in Asia, and the trauma was having a guilty conscience. So feeling like you should have done something but didn't, and feeling guilty about it. The type of faith that you had at this time was a forced conversion. Um, your love life at the time, it says feeling deceived or betrayed. Um, your identity, you just saw yourself as the grandchild. So having this grandparent and feeling more like a grandfather as being your identity, like you have to live up to this person's image or standards. And this took place in pre-Columbian Americas, again in Asia, or the time frame. Sorry, the time frame is pre-Columbian Americas, taking place in Asia. Um, the lesson being prophecy and gifts. So when your higher self was truly speaking to you and the ego ended up taking over. And it seems like, is the ego downfall for all of us? Like, what the heck? But you know what? The ego teaches us things. The ego teaches us these lessons, and then we grow from them. The method of your passing, it said starvation and dehydration. So it's interesting that it was also in a blizzard. Okay. Okay. So let's tap into this life. Kamar. I'm feeling more like this was a young male energy. It feels like when he passed away, it was in his mid 20s, early to mid 20s. So he was just a young boy. And it feels like in this like group or community that you're in, your grandfather was a prominent figure. Like I don't feel like he's like an emperor or chief or anybody like that, but that people respected your grandfather. They respected what he had to say because he was fair, he was strong, he was very strong-willed, he was highly intelligent, um, And when he spoke with authority. I don't feel like he spoke very often, but when he did, people listened. And so, as the grandchild, it felt like you had these really big shoes to fill. Like you were trying to model yourself after him, but it was difficult because you were a completely different person. Not that you were a bad person, but you were your own person. That identity that was your grandfather was his, but the error of the ego at the time was feeling like the only way that you could continue in your life was to become him. So it's like you even tried to mimic his mannerisms. You tried to speak like him. You tried to be him. But people can sniff out inauthenticity, and they knew that you were faking it somehow. And so it was frustrating for you because you felt like you were trying your hardest to be what people wanted. You tried so hard. You're like, I'm trying to speak like him. I'm trying to be fair. I'm trying to be smart. I'm trying to be learned. I'm trying to talk to the community, but it's like they're just not listening to me. And it's like you did take these fears to your grandfather. Um, but he kept saying, it was like he just kept saying to grow up, to grow up. And you thought that he was trying to tell you that you were a child and it was time for you to be a man, to be a man. But that wasn't it. What he was actually trying to tell you was to grow up means to be your own person. When you're a child, you want to mimic your parents. But when you're an adult, you become your own person. So when he said, grow up, he wasn't saying, be a man and be just like me. He was saying, be your own person. And so it seems like where the blizzard comes in, it was a very long lasting winter that year, the year of your passing, but also your grandfather's passing and the passing of quite a few other people. And that was just due to it just got too cold. So possibly there was a blizzard, but really I'm just feeling the cold. The animals were dying because of the cold. Some of the animals just they don't survive in that type of environment. Food was hard to come by because if the animals, you can't raise animals, then people aren't eating. And of course, nothing is growing when it's under 2 feet of ice. So times were rather difficult. Um, your grandfather was saying that perhaps it was time to see if we could move location. But of course, that seemed like a dangerous venture because if we all move, will we survive the trek? We don't have enough food, we don't have enough provisions. It just seems like it's getting colder. And what if we can't find shelter? We already have people in our community that have died because of this winter. Um, so it seemed like a rather risky thing to do. And your grandfather, wanting you to stand in your own power, asked you, what should we do? And you decided to make the decision. I say you as in this past life. This is a fragment of your soul, remember. So I'm not saying you as the person that you are now. But in this past life, you wanted you wanted to impress your grandfather. You thought, okay, I'm going to do what my grandpa would do. And your grandfather was leaning towards like, let's get out of here. Let's move the tribe, move the people. Um, but you were like, instead of listening to your higher self, you decided to do what you thought he would do. So, people have those bracelets. What would Jesus do? For you, is what would grandpa do? Grandpa says, let's move out. Okay, let's move out. Um, and your grandfather was a little hesitant because he thought, in fact, he knew that you were just making that decision based on what you thought he would do. But he wanted you to learn. Every decision you make is a learning decision. And so he said, okay, we're doing what my grandson says that we should do. And the group moved out. The snow did come in, it did get colder. There were people that passed away along the way. One of those people being your grandfather, which did fill you with remorse. It was the why can't I thought I made the right decision. I was trying to do what I thought he would do. And so it was this all encompassing guilt and sadness of like, I let the community down. I let my grandfather down. And eventually you did pass as well because of the cold, the lack of food, the lack of actual drinking water, even though you're surrounded by ice and snow. And it wasn't until you crossed over that you realized in seeing your grandfather's spirit again that it was thank you for the lesson. Thank you for showing me what happens when I do what I think other people want me to do instead of doing what my heart wants me to do. And it feels like that's something to work on in this lifetime. You're probably already working on it, is being your own person instead of living up to who you think your parents wanted you to be, who the society, community wants you to be, but being you, the true, authentic you, even if that is different from everybody else, that it's better to have followed the higher self than to live being somebody that you're not. All right. Thank you, Kumar, for letting me dive in. Oh my goodness. That was like, wow. I feel like I was really there with you. Oh my goodness. Okay. Whew. Let me just go back here. Wow, everybody was saying so fascinating. Okay. Okay. And I will miss some of your comments. I'm so sorry. It's just, these are kind of these are some deep readings here. Um, Lisa said makes sense. Susie was saying so interesting for Lisa. All right, Michelle. All right, we'll pull some cards on Michelle. Um, and let me see if Michelle had commented what she would like for this reading. Lisa said abandonment is still an issue. Well, now you know where to look and where to help yourself heal. And Edgar said for Liesel, he got the Lovers, the Fool, and the Seven of Wands, going out and following your passions despite what others may think. It's like you needed something more in life and in love, but there seemed to be conflict. Lisa said she's channeling right along with me. Excellent. All right. Okay, so let me see if Michelle had posted. If not, then Michelle, we will dive into the past life that is most relevant to this life, the most relevant shadow in this life. Kamar said, thank you. I definitely shed a tear. Well, like I said, outside this realm, time doesn't exist. So that person, that grandchild, that young boy, he's still very much alive and he could definitely benefit, like I said, for Liesel and Susie, could definitely benefit from all the things that you've learned in this lifetime. Your soul has grown, your soul has developed, and I think there's so much that you could offer him and show him so that he can finally release that guilt. He just made a mistake. It was a growing mistake. He didn't quite know how to be his own person yet, but you can show him now that he is whole just as he is. He's wonderful just as he is. You forgive him. You forgive everyone in the situation. You love him. You loved everyone in the situation, and you release that trauma. You no longer need to hold on to that in this particular lifetime. So I think you can definitely help him. Um, Michelle said, sorry, a bit late. Past life works too. Oh, okay. All right, it says love reading with Jewel. Okay. Okay, okay. Um, ooh, what we could do with that love reading, Michelle, and mix it with the past life is the past life that could help with um, the love reading or love in this particular lifetime, this present lifetime. So, past life in the realm of love that could help with this particular lifetime in the realm of love. All right, let's do that, Michelle. Okay. Okay, a little bit more tea. Go to ground again. Okay. Okay. All right. Whew. Okay. Having to do with love. Okay. So let's see. This past life for you takes place in, oops, sorry. I think my microphone fell over. Okay. Takes place in Russia. The trauma that was taken on at the time was betrayal. Your faith at the time was prophet led, so believing in a prophet. The love was promiscuous. Um, your identity was more of that as seeing yourself as like, I'm just the cousin, like I'm the cousin in the family. Time frame was during the age of discovery in Russia, and the lesson was overcoming fear, and the method of your passing was public execution. Oh my goodness. Well, but our focus is love, how the traumas surrounding that in the past could help you here in the present. Okay, let's dive in, Michelle. So remember, this is just a fragment of your soul. We take on all sorts of identities in all of these past lives. Sometimes we're the quote unquote good guy, sometimes we're the villain, sometimes we're masculine, sometimes we're feminine, sometimes we're the leader, sometimes we're the follower. We have so many different roles. So let's tap into the love portion of this life in Russia. Oh, oh, I see. Okay. So at this time, it feels like you grew up in a really strict household, like strict as in discipline, but also in like faith. Because everybody believed in, like it was talking about being prophet led, but basically believing in a saint. But this is more like a living saint or a living prophet, and so kind of whatever this person says, all the followers believe this person, and they just, that's part of their religion at the time. And you felt kind of out of alignment with the beliefs of your family. Um, and although you tried to be a quote unquote good kid in the family, you couldn't help being you. Um, it was like no matter how hard you tried, you just couldn't be someone else. You couldn't be the someone that, the family wanted you to be. They wanted you to be this like this quiet, like devout, it did feel like you were female in this lifetime, but like this devout female that just, knows her place in the household at the time. She knows her place in society. Like that just wasn't you. And your family came down on you pretty hard because in their eyes you were making the family look bad because it was all about society. What does society say about us? Because it was very much I am who everybody else says I am type of world at the time. But you are one of the few at the time that came in, and you incarnated actually at the right time as a more heart-based individual, and you went where your heart led you. If you felt sad, you felt sad. If you wanted to get mad, you got mad. If you wanted to, you know, shout with laughter, you would. Um, but that's not what society expected of a woman at the time. Um, and that's just something you couldn't abide by no matter how hard you tried. And so when it says that your love was promiscuous, I feel more like you wanted to date, and that really wasn't a thing at the time. Dating wasn't a thing. It was your parents picked somebody out for you. You date that person, you marry that person, you have children, and that's the end of it. But you really didn't want that for your life. You're like, I want to date people. So yeah, you did run off with other guys because you wanted to like get to know people. Like you were fascinated by people's personalities, their beliefs. You wanted to find other people that were just like you, who, was heart based, who followed their, basically, you wore your heart on your sleeve. And you did attract people like that. Um, but it got to a point where it feels like, and I don't feel like it was a higher up in the society, but I don't know, somebody was a tattletale. Um, and somebody told your family what you had been doing, that you've been sneaking out and, hanging out with these guys. And sometimes you weren't really doing anything with them other than talking philosophy. You were talking about the world. You just wanted somebody really to share ideas with. That's who you wanted in a partner, was somebody that you felt could equally understand you, but also equally teach you something. But that's not what society saw, and that's not what this tattletale saw. But remember, the tattletale, there's also a lesson in this person too. They had something to show us too. But they told your parents what was happening. Your parents didn't know what to do. They tried to lock you in the house. They came down pretty hard on you. This person that told your folks also told who would have been kind of like head of the community at the time, or the town. Um, and it seemed like the head person um, wanted to set an example with you, um, because there were more girls that were just like you, and boys that were growing outside the confines of the restrictions of the community, the restrictions of the religion, the restrictions of what you can and cannot do. There were so many new, like, light workers being born at that time. And so the head townsperson, wanting to keep everybody in line, said, okay, we're going to take it out on this girl. We're going to do a public execution. We're going to show people that this is not how a female behaves, that she will get in line. And by executing her, this will put other little boys and little girls in line, and they will follow the prophet. They will follow our restrictions. And so, in once you passed in the crossing over, um, and meeting the other souls, once eventually they passed and crossed over, there was this understanding that was like, okay, you showed me that no matter what, I must live an authentic life. That soul that you were would have done it all over again. That no matter if your life ended in tragedy, that you just couldn't be somebody else, no matter how hard you tried. So if you had to live that life again, you would have done the exact same thing. You would have gone out, you would have done your own thing, you would have been your own person. Um, because you will not be scared into submission. And it feels like some of that's carrying over into this lifetime. So, if any trauma surrounding that particular life, about falling in line with the crowd, or feeling like an outsider, or feeling like you're, when it comes to love, trying to share a balance with somebody else, that's coming from that particular life. So you can definitely send some healing to yourself, to everybody that was involved. I love them. I thank them for the lesson, for showing me that I can only be authentic. That's all I know how to be. Um, then by releasing that, you would definitely help your love life in this present life, just to help you open yourself up even more, because there is that heavy energy of the public execution. Even though you know that you wouldn't have changed who you were, that definitely is a heavy energy to weigh on one's soul. So just to release that, and release everybody involved in that, so that you can um, be more open to the opportunities of love in this lifetime, and a deep, deep love. All right. Wow. Thank you, Michelle, for letting me dive into that one. Thank you so much. All right. Whew. Let's see. Let's go back here. Michelle says, still am and do. Wow. Yeah, that's what Michelle said. She said, wow. Oh my goodness. Um, okay. All right. So let's go back and let's see what friends we're missing. I just got to scroll back here. I believe it's our friend Lily that was next. Lily said, amazing. I would love a past life reading. I wonder if you see the person I'm with now. EAH. Okay. So let's take a look. Lisa says, I will do tarot. I love him already. All right. And then after our friend Lily, we have Karen. Then we have Butterfly Love Child and John. Whoa, lots of scrolling. Dana, okay. All right, excellent. And if my awesome moderators wouldn't mind helping, just to keep me on track, make sure I don't miss anybody that wanted, a reading, the past life reading. So, like I said, we have our friend Lily. I know we have Karen in there. We have Dana. We have that's why I have to like keep track. Don't worry, I'll remember all you guys. Don't worry. Okay. So Lily. All right, Lily, we're gonna have to have a little grounding tea. All right. So the life that is most significant to the present life, to the person we know as Lily. Okay, let's do it. Oh my goodness, I think ice is falling off this roof. I can hear it. All right. Ooh, I think we have our theme. All right, let's pull about the life itself. Okay. Woo. All right, we're in the theme of this particular life was obsession, obsessive love. Okay. And then we have your life kind of put down here, but of course I'll read it off and then we'll dive into the life. The location is in India, and this was during the time of the late to Middle Ages in India. The trauma that was incurred at that time was being a witness or a bystander to a tragedy. The faith that you kept at the time was more of a secret faith, so perhaps not the same as the populace, but one that you kept close to the chest. Your love identity at the time was LGBTQ. Your identity as a person at the time was a father. The lesson to be learned was that of peace, and the way of your passing was in old age. Okay, so let's dive into this one. Okay. Okay, now I'm coming into your family right now. 3 children. All right. So I feel like as far as your love identity went, you would have been considered bisexual. So you were attracted to both male and female. Obviously, at the time, just due to how people were perceived at the time, that would have been unacceptable to be accepted as a bisexual person. So you kind of kept that to yourself. I think that's that faith, kind of keeping it close to the chest. You just since you saw yourself as different from the people around you, like you didn't see anybody else, walking around, as gay or lesbian or, bisexual or anything like that. So that was something that was kept hush hush. Like people just didn't talk about it. So you did what society expected of you, which was to get married. You had some kids. You had 3 kids actually. It was actually good for the woman that you married to have boys, although we know that it's kind of it's not really up to the woman's chromosomes to make gender, but it's at this time that it was seen in that way. So you had a couple of boys, you had a little girl, um, and there was someone that you were in love with that was not your wife. I mean, you cared for your wife. You thought she was an excellent person, and you guys were actually pretty good friends, but you didn't really see her as like a wife, like as the love of my life. You just did that because that's what your family expected of you. That's what society expected of you. And it seems like that's a theme in a lot of our past lives, is that society dictates who you are. And I think what's lovely about now, the age of Aquarius, is that we we dictate our own lives now. It doesn't matter what society wants from us anymore. We're here to help people, and that's being our true, authentic self. And so it was very hard for you to be your true, authentic self at that time. So you kept your true love hidden. There was a man that you were in love with, and he was sweet, he was kind. I would say he had a good balance of feminine and masculine qualities, where he could show you emotion. He had a fabulous intuition. He was creative. He was a wonderful storyteller. Um, but also, he was good at putting his foot down. He was good at commanding people. Actually, commanding people, that was it. He was he was like in the military, like like a military commander. And so he couldn't he couldn't come out about his love for you because he was afraid of damaging your life and what you had with your children and your wife. And you were also afraid of ruining his career. You're afraid that if you came out and expressed your love for him, not only would you lose your wife that is your best friend, but his life would actually be in danger. And he would lose his status. So you guys had to meet in secret. And it seems like you guys met in secret for a long time. And he passed before you did. And it broke your heart because that truly was the love of your life. Um, and even at his deathbed, you couldn't say how you felt. There was just too many people. So you tried to say it in your prayers, you tried to say it in your heart, just telling him how honored you were to have been a part of this person's life while he was here, and that although you two couldn't have been together, you were happy nonetheless just to be around his energy. The little bits of time that you guys got to spend together was beautiful. That his balance, his masculine and feminine energy, helped you to find confidence in yourself. He helped you to find strength within yourself when you felt that you were weak or that you couldn't go on. He was your rock, but he was also like a mother. And so eventually, when you did cross over, as well as all the people from that particular lifetime, and we get to see our life as it truly was, you got to thank your wife and your children for being a part of your life at that time and helping you to have a family, but also helping or having this person show you what true love felt like, what a balanced, equal love felt like. And although you couldn't share in each other's love expressively to society, you were happy to have known it nonetheless. And I don't know if this sounds like the person that you're currently with, but I feel like this person is somewhere within your soul family. So this person would be somewhere in your sphere currently in this lifetime. But the trauma to release, the shadow to release, would be the hiding, secrecy, sometimes feeling when you have to keep your mouth shut about things or you can't express certain things to certain people, that somehow that makes you weak, and it doesn't. Just remember that what you were taught in this past life from the love of your life, that you are strong and that you just continue being you. And eventually, maybe your throat chakra will open up and you'll just speak all that you need to speak. And maybe that's what you have done in this lifetime. Maybe you have done the throat chakra work and the solar plexus work. And so there's so much that you can offer this older man in India in the past. There's so much that you can show him and help him to heal from, so that he can finally release it, so that you can release it, so that energy no longer follows you around. The energy of secrecy, the energy of stifled love. All right. Whew. Whew. Thank you, Lily, for letting me tap in for you. Let's go back here. Do, do, do. A lot of people popping in. Oh my goodness. Okay, so Peg says she's been at it for 98 minutes. She's going to be going to sleep all afternoon. I know, I probably will. Okay, Susie says we have Karen, Butterfly Love Child, John, and Dana. All right. I think I'm going to cap it off at Dana. So Dana, then I guess, oh, and Peg. All right. So those would be our final ones for the day, I suppose. Karen says, before you move forward, please let us know if you're okay. I'm good. I'm pretty good at regrounding myself, redoing up my energy. Just, I feel all the feels. Like, to feel you guys is like, I don't know. It's like when you watch like a really emotional movie and you're feeling all the emotions. That's how I feel. I don't feel drained at all. I just feel a lot of emotions. Thank you, Susie. Thank you. Okay. You said that it was our friend Karen was next, then Butterfly Love Child, John, and Dana. Okay, so let me go back and see if I can find Karen's doot doot, her little super chat. There she is. Okay, so the past life reading. Alrighty, I gotcha. Okay. Grounding. Whew. It's just a lot of emotions, that's all. My energy is cool. A lot of emotions. Because it's like I feel, I guess that's the empathy coming in, but I feel all of those energies and your current energies. So I'm just like, whoo. Okay, Karen. Let's take a look at the past life that has the most relevance on this life, perhaps the shadow, the biggest shadow in this lifetime, its origination. Okay, let's do it. Karen, our friend Karen, KDS worker, our friend Karen. Okay, we're gonna toss this card. Boop. All right, and then, whoa, okay, I think we got your life there. Alrighty. Okay, so let's see what the theme was. Okay, the theme from this past life was the Buddhist aesthetic. So, the Buddhist spirituality. Interesting. Or at least a Buddhist type outlook of spirituality. Okay, so let's take a look at the life here. Okay, so this took place in Northern Europe during the classical antiquity time frame. The trauma that was obtained at that time was physical limitation. Um, Again, we said your faith was more of the Buddhist type faith, but at the time, other people probably would have seen you as more atheist. So it seems like maybe this was like Christianity at the time. So you having like a Buddhist outlook was more like an atheist outlook, although that's not true. Love life, there was some domestic abuse in that love life. Your identity, you were seen as the sister. That's interesting. And the lesson was leadership. How you passed was in a fire. Okay. 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 Let's do it. Let's dive in. Who was this sister? This female, this woman? I just see something from the having a physical, your physical limitation being something from the waist down. So it feels as like you had problems in your lower limbs, but also issues with reproduction. And so, because of how you grew up, um, being seeing yourself as different from the other kids that could just run around and play, from the other girls that were experiencing their menstrual cycle, it feels like you had an issue with that. It was like something they didn't quite understand what was wrong. That you started to look at life differently. Um, and the major religion at the time didn't seem to appeal to how you felt on the inside. And so it feels like you kind of adopted your own Buddhist, I guess, type way of looking at things. So it really wasn't like a Buddhist religion, but more um, seeing things as imbalance. You know, you understood that if you sat around all day being upset that your legs wouldn't do what the other girls' legs do, run around, play, jump, all of these things, that you would be a very unhappy person. And so you understood that wanting what you don't have just put you in more of a state of wanting and unhappiness. So you started to become content with just being who you are and understanding that there's balance in all things. And although perhaps your lower half of your body wasn't identical to everybody else's lower half, you had a mind and a heart that was unparalleled. You were extremely intelligent, and your ability to feel empathy, you're an empath for all these other people. You knew exactly how they were feeling, that you were that people felt comfortable speaking to you because they knew somehow on some level that you understood them. So you were kind of a counselor, so to speak. And actually, now that I think about it, that's something that you kind of do in this lifetime. Um, and so eventually you did get married, but this felt more more like an arranged marriage, I guess, or somewhat arranged, I suppose, between your parents and this boy's parents. Um, but this young man had issues of his own. He didn't believe in his own power. And so the only way he felt powerful was to belittle you and to hurt you, which is obviously quite unfortunate at the time, that an unhealed person hurts, creates people that will eventually need healing because of them. But of course, there's also a lesson in this. I'm not hating on this person. Um, and it feels like through that, these trials and tribulations, going through the disability, the disappointment of understanding that you couldn't have your own children, the abusive husband that you had, that you still found a way to come back to your heart space, to come back to your center. You knew that this life was temporary. You knew that no matter how much people made fun of you or how much verbal or physical abuse you were sustaining from your husband, that you were still a good person and that you still had things to offer people. You knew that people relied on your counsel. You knew that people, you could help them when they came to you with their problems, their issues. And so it's the going inwards that you found your inner strength. And eventually, I feel like you did leave your husband, which was taboo at the time. Women did not leave their husbands. But you set an example for all those women and men who were looking up to you. Maybe you didn't know that they were, but they listened to what you said. They saw your strength, even if all the world saw was your disability. They saw your inner strength. And it gave them the permission slip to also follow their heart. This is not to say that everybody started leaving their husbands and their wives, but they started finding confidence in their own lives because you did something that was extremely brave, which was to go far against the grain of society and leave that man. And it feels like in the passing, that man was involved. I feel like he found you. He found where you were staying and he lit the place on fire. He did it on purpose, but he did it, he wanted to commit suicide. He was so upset because he did see how strong you were. He felt so inadequate, which is why he beat on you. That he just couldn't live with himself. And he wanted to be you in a way, in a very odd way, a murder suicide. He wanted to be with you forever. So that's why he set fire to the place. It's a very awful thing to do. But even when you crossed over, you still understood. You understood that he was acting out of a place of being unhealed. You knew his strength even when he couldn't see it, and you still found place in your heart to forgive him. And that's something you were able to help teach his soul. But that's probably something that you take into this lifetime, is seeing things not for the way we act or the things that we say, but you see people as they truly are, which probably is why you're such a good counselor, where people come to you and they feel like they can confide in you, is because you see straight into their heart space. So in terms of healing, obviously you probably want to let go of the trauma of the fire. Um, but anything else surrounding that particular lifetime, just to finally let it go, and thank it for all the things that it has shown you and that you take into this lifetime so that you can feel lighter in this lifetime. So no longer weighed down by the past, but also thanking the past for everything it was able to teach you. All righty. Wow. Thank you, Karen. Peg said, wow, KDS. Susie said, these are wonderful. We appreciate you. I appreciate you guys. Like, thank you so much. I know how personal it is, like, pulling up your past lives. So thank you. And Karen said, totally get it. Thank you. Thank you. All right. All right. So we have three more friends. We have our friend Butterfly Love Child, John, and Dana. I'm just going to scroll back up here and see if Butterfly Love Child had anything in her message here. Okay, she said, what's the strongest influence on my current life right now? Okay, let's take a look. Strongest influence on your current life. Okay. Let's have a sip of tea, shall we? Ground ourselves. Oh my goodness, so many feels. I'm gonna have to do meditation after this, just to release all the feels, and because it's like all your energy is like swirling in here. Dana says, this is such a wonderful channeling. Thank you guys. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, butterflies. Like, okay, so let's take a look, Ski. All right, butterfly. Okay. Okay. Oops. That card got turned around. Okay. The past life that has most influence on this current life. Butterfly, butterfly. There's a song that started playing in my head. Gosh, I don't even know the words of the song, but I know the tune. So I'll be there to love and care for you. Da, 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 da. It's an oldie song. I think it's from the 60s. Da, 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 da. Reach out, reach out. Da. I'll be there. Yeah, I don't know. It's that song just popped into my head. Da, 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 da. Okay. All righty. Oh, okay. Whew. All right, here we go. Oh, Lisa says, I'll be there. Okay, well, that's the song that popped up for Butterfly Love Child. Speaking of butterflies, there's birdies that has come on in. All right, so the theme was a victim of torture. A type of torture. It doesn't have to be all medieval torture, but you know what? We'll take a look into it and see what comes from that. Okay. And here's our life here. Butterfly says, that's where I'm sitting at right now. Nice. Okay. So the identity you had at the time was some sort of devotee or follower. During the time of the High Middle Ages in Eastern Europe. The trauma that was incurred was poverty, and the lesson was greed. The faith was, it says, ethical religion. It's interesting. In terms of love, there was some abandonment that came because of that. And the way of your passing was murder. Well, that makes sense if you were a torture victim. I'll be there by the Four Tops. Thank you. That is a cool song. I do like that song. My dad listens to it a lot. Okay, so let's tap in butterfly, and see how this life is impacting the life that you currently have. Interesting. Mm. Okay. I'm seeing you actually in this particular lifetime as female, and the age coming across is right around my age right now, which is 42 ish, kind of around there, early 40s for you. And it seems like the environment that you grew up in, there were some very distinct classes, almost like in India, they have the caste system. It was kind of like that in the area in which you lived, where if you were considered lower class, you could only rise to the top of lower class. You weren't allowed to be anything else. You had to marry within the lower class, just as like the upper class. And it seemed like it was a great divide. There was no middle class, it was just lower and upper. There was the extremely wealthy and the extremely poor. And it feels like you grew up in some very dire surroundings. And so you are more taught that you get what you can take. So if you can steal food because you're hungry, then you steal food. I mean, because if you sit around and wait for people to be nice to you, you're just going to starve. This is the mind frame of what you've been taught at the time. And it feels like you fell into a group of people that work together. I guess almost like a small community of like 15, 20 people. And you helped each other steal for each other. Like you all stole food together, found ways to get money together, find shelter together. And it was working out to a degree, I suppose, but kind of within the group, people stole from each other. So it's interesting feeling like you need to steal from others to survive, but then even stealing from the people that you call friends. And in this particular lifetime, it seemed like you thought it was unfair that the leader of the group told you guys what to do. Like you felt like you had some pretty good ideas, and sometimes the ideas that this person came up with you thought was just like asinine. Like, why put our lives at risk stealing that kind of food and that money when there's an easier score over here where our lives wouldn't be put at risk? Because society at the time did not look favorably upon thieves. And some of the people that you ran with in your group were also murderers. Um, Not that they just murdered willy nilly, they often did it for money or food, but the energy is still there. And so it feels like you made an alliance with a couple of people in the group, like maybe two or three other people. And you decided that you were going to take out the person that was the head of this. How you saw it was that they were just going to, I guess you didn't quite think it through. You thought, well, to take out this person, basically, we were going to beat him up really bad. And we were going to leave him, on the side of the road, and then we'll take off. And, we'll just be our own group, because we didn't quite like this guy's ideals. He seemed a little unhinged and a little too happy to want to take somebody's life. And that really wasn't, your thing. However, the other two or three people that you were with were not afraid to take this guy's life. Um, and so it was a botched attempt to take his life. They ended up getting caught. The I seemed like one person was wanted to murder him, basically take him out so that you guys could be free of him, not understanding your own power yet, that you guys could have been free of him at any time. You could have just left, but didn't feel like you could survive on your own. So that's why you made this alliance with these two people, two or three people. Um, but this person tried to murder him and he caught them. Um, they were murdered in the process. Um, Other people in the group knew kind of what you guys were doing, so they turned you, the other two of you, in. And basically, he wanted you to pay, the both of you, to pay for trying to turn against him. So I guess that's where the torture came in, but it really wasn't torture. It was just a slow death. I guess that would be torture. More like you bled to death. And so, oh my gosh, it's such a dark lifetime. But once you crossed over, and eventually when all these other people had crossed over, what they learned was what happens when they couldn't see their own power. When you couldn't see your own power, when they couldn't see their own power, that there was nothing but mistrust amongst the ranks. That even though they came together, which is something that possibly you want in this lifetime, is you want community, you want people to come together, and that's something that you were striving for in the past life. However, it shifted more into, because people still didn't understand their own sovereignty, they still didn't trust anybody outside themselves because they didn't trust themselves on the inside. And so this man, whatever, got to play the villain in this past life to show you that you didn't need leaders and there's no need to take out the leader, but to merely stop following the leader, to go and be your own person. There is no need for an elimination of this leader, whoever the leader is in your life. And it seems like you probably are already working on something like that, or have already worked on that in this current life. But I feel like you really, really could offer some healing for this person, because she's still in that past energy, which is technically still occurring. She needs to see her sovereignty. She needs to see that she should love herself. She needs to see that she could be her own leader and that she doesn't need to harm others in order to get what she wants. That it's time for her to let that go. So that if any of that energy is surrounding you or attached to you in any way, that's released in this current lifetime as well. Oh my goodness. Woo. Thank you, Butterfly, for letting me tap in. Peg said, be sure to hit that subscribe and notification bell so you won't miss out next time. Oh, yeah, and the like button. Much love. Thank you. Thank you. Um, Butterfly says, I did retire from the military. Oh, wow. Interesting. Whew. Peg says you can, check out my links and website. There's options there. Sorry if you missed the cutoff for today's show. No worries. We do have our friend John and Dana next. John said, I'm pretty much aware of the past life affecting me most, but I'm open for what needs to be said and for Tara to say and go where my higher self leads her in that life or other. All right. So yeah, let's dive into our buddy John. Again, thank you, thank you, thank you. Everybody who's come into the chat today, everybody who's allowed me to go into these very personal past lives. I appreciate it. And I know that by doing it live for others, that it helps other people, even if it wasn't their personal reading. We're all connected. So there's always going to be pieces of other people's lives that can help us with our own life. So that's why I say also read the chat. I know I've missed a good chunk of the chat. I'll go back and read it when I watch my own replay. But yeah, for those who are watching the replay or who are in the chat, make sure you read that chat. There's so much wisdom, so much good stuff from the folks that come in here. That's why I like hanging with you guys on Sundays, because it's not just me like blah 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 blah, but you guys make the community. You guys make it pretty awesome. Okay, so our buddy John, let's ground with some tea. Okay. Let's see. Caitlin says, sorry guys, time for lunch. Blessed be. All right, Caitlin, thank you so much for coming in. I hope you have a great rest of your day and have an amazing week. Okay, John, let's see. And when I tap into John's energy, all I see is a ginormous oak tree. Huge tree. Okay, so let's see the major theme, the shadow affecting this life. We'll toss that one. All right, now let's take a look at John's past life. Okay. Ooh, secret society was one of the themes. And we have the Camorra. You know what? I don't think I've even heard of that society. A Camorra. Camorra Secret Society. Camorra. Okay. But you know what? We'll tap into the energy of it. All right. So let's take a look at the lifetime here that came through. It's saying the love, just kind of love life at the time, was an unrequited love. Identity was a young female. The time frame was the early Bronze Age taking place in Mexico. The lesson taken away from that life was self-identity. The trauma that was incurred was imprisonment. And the cause of your passing, non-contagious illness. Okay. So let's 1900s. Interesting. Edgar says, OMG, my mom didn't tell me. I got my package yesterday. I just got 20 potion bottles. Yay! All righty. Okay, so thank you so much, John, for letting me read for you. So yeah, it felt like she just needs help in releasing some of the anger that she held on to, feeling like people lied about her, that they um, had said something that was untrue because she knew the truth. But you know, in the present time, you know, people can spread lies all they want. In fact, that's what people do. Sometimes they spread lies, they say things that are untrue, or they believe things erroneously. But for you to continue being authentic, living in your heart space, speaking from the truth of your heart space, that helps people to eventually connect to their own heart space. And if people can't see the truth through their own heart, that's something for them to work on, not something for you or anybody else to force upon them. You know, when a soul's ready, they're ready. And so that's something just to help that previous life, that young lady, help her release that. And so, if any of that is lingering on you in this lifetime, that can be released as well. The feeling like people don't know the truth about me, or they're saying things that are untrue about me. But also realizing, you know, just like she was a badass manifester, so are you. So she became whoever she wanted to be, and so do you. So all right. Susan said back. All right. Edgar said, holy crap, Terry, you scared me when it started back up again. Oh my gosh. Um, all right. So, whoa, did it freeze at some point? I hope you got most of that message, um, about, that young girl, but all right. I'm not sure when it cut out. Oh, lost. Okay, so during John's reading. So, yeah, it was this young girl in Mexico who had she'd been born into, oh, the whole reading froze. Oh my goodness. Okay. Let's recap it for John and then we'll get to our friend Dana. So, it had something to do technically with like Amora, but in here, talking about the girl from Mexico, I had a feeling that she was only about 7 or 8 years old when she went out on her own into the streets. And that was just because it seems like, I don't know what happened to her family. Like her parents just couldn't take care of her. So she was ended up getting taken care of by her grandmother. But there was already far too many children under grandma's roof. A roof that she had to send out some of the older kids, which was like you, the like 7 and 8 year olds, into like go find food for yourself because I don't have enough food to go around. Um, and so you ended up getting really crafty in like understanding like, okay, how am I going to fend for myself? And the light bulb moment was when you looked into the household of a wealthier family, a wealthier Mexican family, and kind of seeing that they had food, they had nice clothes, and and all the things that you didn't have. And so you decided, well, if I can get my hands on some clothes, some nice clothes, I could pretend to be a nanny and say that I'd been a nanny for like these other families across town. So like you kind of made up this whole backstory, and so you're very convincing to this family, and you ended up working with them for some time. And you kind of went from family to family, being like a nanny for them, even though you're still kind of a young kid. I would say kind of midwife, but you're pretty young. And so you kind of grew up that way up into your teen years, your late teen years. Where eventually, at first it was kind of made up. You like made up the whole thing about being a nanny. But then you became a nanny, like you manifested that job for yourself. Like at first maybe the backstory was a lie, but eventually you did have clientele and you were a legit nanny. So like you manifested that. You were a wonderful manifester. You also had the gift of gab. And it was the last family that you worked for, being in your late teens, um, that the wife became insanely jealous because the husband would flirt with you. You didn't reciprocate at all, but the husband was like, like the nanny's cute. But you never did anything to like warrant this type of affection. Like you never even, gave back any of this affection to him, but the wife was insanely jealous. So the wife had made up a story that you stole her jewelry and that you stole some of the money, and she convinced her husband that this was true. You tried to say that she was lying, but the husband took his wife's side. He became furious. He thought that you had betrayed his trust. So he not only kicked you out of his home, but he took you to the authorities. And you were put in prison or in jail there for theft of a prominent family, because you were lower class. And it was there that it feels like you passed away from the flu. Like, they weren't taking care of their prisoners or the people that were in jail. So when you passed away, it was from a sickness that people get. People get the flu. But what was to be released in that lifetime, and if any of it had relevance in this lifetime, was that, as I was saying before, like we can't control what other people say about us. And when I was talking about, you knew in your heart what was true, but if people can't see truth in their heart, there's nothing we can do. We can't force people to do that. So that's something to release control of, that we can't force people's points of view of us. We can't force our truth onto other people. We can only hope that they're looking through the truths of their higher self and not their ego. So that's just something to work on in this lifetime, you probably already are working on it. You probably are already releasing it. But just see if you have any other bits and pieces from that particular life that you could release, while also sending love and healing to that young girl. Because, like we said, there is no time, so she's still very much alive and still very much in need of healing. And John said, "Yeah, I hate disingenuous." Yeah, I would say that that's a big place for that to come from. So, thank you so much for allowing me to read for you. I apologize for YouTube freezing on your reading like that. So, but hopefully, you're able to get that message. All right, for our friend Dana, our final reading of the day. Let me just scroll a lot back and let's see if I can find Dana's super chat. There it is. Um, do do do. Just looking to see if uh, Dana, if you just wanted me to look at the past life that has the most effect on this life. Oh, she says, wait, hold on. Sorry, I forgot to mention in my sticker payment for the past life. Okay, alrighty. So we'll do that. Dana says, I'm so excited. A past life, please. All right. Peg says, save the best for last. Karen says, it was the Kimura that froze, not YouTube. Oh, well, my goodness. Okay. Actually, like now I'm curious. I might do some like Google searching about like what was that society? Because I want to know more about everything. It's like the Gemini in me. Okay, so I'm gonna ground myself with some tea, Dana, and then we're gonna have a little lick ski. Okay. Okay. Okay, Dana. And I'll try to like look up every now and then just to make sure that the internet's not frozen. Okay, Dana. Okay, for like a split second there, Dana, I thought I was like in your body. Like I thought I was you for a second. That's interesting. Must have done some consciousness jumping. Usually that only happens if I've been smoking weed, which I have not. um, where it's like my consciousness like jumps into other people's consciousness. Like I start seeing through other people's eyes. I'm like, whoa. Okay, Dana. So let's see which past life has the most relevance on this current life. Like which shadow? Let's see. And one more card for the life itself. All right. Okie dokie. Dana said, wow, that's so cool. I felt something in my stomach. Oh, it was me. Okay. Uh, all right. So it says Rise of Civilization. Theme was a developer. So a creator, builder, architect of some sort. Okay. So let's take a look at the life. We have the life right here. Your identity was a lover. Ooh. And the time frame took place in the World War age in a lost civilization. Interesting. So during the World Wars, but a civilization has now become lost. That's interesting. The lesson that was learned at that time was how to become more natural. The trauma that was incurred was oppression at that time. Your faith was more of a fanatical faith. Um, love, it says that you had grown old without a husband. And I do feel this is female. Of course, we know that our past life genders have nothing really to do with our current gender, but this feels like a female. Um, the way in which you passed away was a miscarriage that you had. Okay. you know what's interesting? The energy that I'm feeling for you is more like, in the Philippines. I know like I'm part Filipino, but um, it feels like a part of the Philippines in their freaking 10,000 islands, a part of that civilization that doesn't exist anymore, that's been lost, which is a lot of parts of the like Philippine like faiths and traditions are kind of getting lost to all the um, I guess lost in time. I could say. Um, Susie said Lemuria. Dana said, "Ooh, Tartaria." Aha. Or Atlantis, Lemuria. Interesting. But yeah, I keep feeling out in the islands there. Um, okay, so let's go into this one. Like I say, I'll try to I'll try to keep an eye on the camera while I'm channeling too. Wow, that's okay, Dana. You have a very strong female energy coming in. I would have pegged her for being in her 50s, but she wasn't. She was probably about 21 when she passed away, but like the wisdom of somebody who was in their 50s. Like when you spoke with authority. You felt so intensely like people trusted you. And it was feeling like the culture at the time, even though men and women were somewhat on um, equal ground, like in terms of like having a home together, like women were allowed to divorce their husbands. They were allowed to own property. Um, Other civilizations, maybe that wasn't so, but you were somewhat equal in that. However, it was still the place of the woman to let the man make decisions. And that's just something that like you were not down with. Like if you felt you had input on something and you knew something to be true, you'd say something. So it made you unpopular in some parts of society where there were some men that thought like they would make fun of you. They would say you're too much like a man. Like you know, no man is going to want to marry you. And in your mind, you're like, well, why would I become subservient, which is not an energy I possess, to somebody who's just going to boss me around? She goes, I'd rather not be married than to be somebody that I'm not. So you were quite content not having a husband in your life, whereas the society at the time kind of looked down on you. Not all of society, because there were some people that were really on board with your energy. They were like, it's time for some changes in this society. Like it's time for like quote unquote to get out of the stone age and start getting into the modern age. But you also saw kind of where your culture was going. And although you thought that some of the modern conveniences that were being brought in through various trade and other cultures that would happen upon your island and kind of mix in their own beliefs and their ways of doing things, like that's fine and dandy. But you thought that it was time to get back to a place that had by that time already been lost by your people. And you felt that there was a heartbeat in, maybe you didn't have the word earth or mama Gaia or any of those terms in your vernacular at the time, but you knew that there was a heartbeat in the ground beneath your feet, and that we come from that ground when we die, and we go back into that ground. And so you felt like it was time to get back to that. And so there were some modern conveniences that you rejected, which also made you somewhat of a pariah to the rest of society, because they're like, not only will she not take a husband, not only will she not keep her mouth shut. Um, but she's also rejecting things that make our lives easier. And you are trying to let them know that, yes, I understand this makes our life easier, but how much are we giving away of our humanity by letting ourselves be taken away with ease instead of getting back to our true self? Perhaps there are some things that we must do with our hands that we can't let machines do, because our humanity gets taken away in that. And there were some people that believed you in that, and some people that just didn't quite understand. And like I said, you passed away when you're about 21, 22 years old. So this is some profound wisdom to have on such a young person. Like you were awake, pretty awake at this time. Um, and it felt like you had so many plans on how to sort of restructure the community and how you guys live, incorporating a little bit of the modern age, but also getting back to your roots. Um, and so I don't feel like there was any sort of, like, nobody threw you in prison, and there was no, none of that is just difficult because you saw something that other people couldn't see. Like you could see the bigger picture. You could see where your society was going. Um, and although you understood that there was the positive in the newness that was being brought into the culture, you also saw how that newness could be your downfall. And that's what you were trying to tell people. And in the love side of things, I feel like you took many lovers. It felt like you were kind of trying to feel people out. Like we said before, your energy was that of, I I want to be my own person in a relationship. And so you were trying to find men that helped kind of balance that out, that let you be who you wanted to be while also allowing them to be the quote unquote man. And so there were guys that you liked, but those men were just not ready to step into their own power, so to speak, because although they really liked you, and I would say even a couple of them were in love with you, they knew that if they married you, they would be under the same ridicule that you were under. And they couldn't handle what you handled on a daily basis, which was people saying, oh, you think you're better than that? Oh, your mouth is so big. You're saying things that aren't true. Oh, you're trying to put us back in the Stone Ages. All these people, although, like I said, there were people that agreed with you, there were also people that didn't have nice things to say to you on a daily basis. And some of the men that you were with weren't ready for that. They loved you. They thought what you had to say was wonderful, and maybe they would have been fabulous husbands, but they just couldn't take the ridicule. So one of them did end up, you did end up getting pregnant by one of these gentlemen, and and that's where the passing came, was in the birth of that child. It was a birth, and but the child lived. It was a girl. Actually, she was taken care of by her father after your passing. So even though you passed, the father, even though he couldn't step into your shoes and be who you were in society, he passed that on to your daughter. He passed your strength on to her. It's actually really sweet. So, upon your crossing over, and eventually when he crossed, and everybody else, it was thanking people, the people at that time, for pushing against your beliefs. You thank them because it built a strong character. It helped you to really tap into your heart space even harder. And it strengthened your resolve in your beliefs and all of that. And none of that would have occurred had people not pushed back, had people not said that what you're doing is not cool, that had people not picked at your shadows and your traumas, they wouldn't have made you as strong as you ended up becoming. And so you left quite an impact, even though you were just a young lady. And I feel like maybe some of that energy is surrounding you now in this present life. But remember that you can go back to her and you can help show her how the origin of that energy has transmuted into that present energy of the Dana that we know. Um, wow, it's just it was a very nice energy, I must say. All right. Whew. Okay, let's see. Let's go back here. Oh, Susie was putting Dana's IG if you guys want to check it out. She says, I am in such awe right now. Dana was saying, wow, I'm speechless. Talking to the stars. Hello, hello. Um, yeah, Susie says that I'm just wrapping up for today, but I'm glad you made it here at the tail end of the live. I will end us on a very short meditation just to kind of ground and help release us of some of the messages that came through. Dana's like, I'm not crying, you're crying. I know, I'm just like, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you to everybody who allowed me to tap in so deeply. Thank you so much for allowing me to feel your energies, to feel your emotions, to feel your shadows, your pasts. Um, I don't take that for granted. I'm deeply appreciative. I feel honored to be able to do that. Like, I'm not trying to be cheesy. I'm seriously, I feel honored. I know not everybody has the opportunity to do that, for people to allow them to do that. So thank you so much. And this has been a very fun live chat. And I think when I watch the replay, I want to really listen in on some of those past lives that you guys had, because I know that in some form it's going to help me in my own life. And anybody who watches the replay, I hope that it helps you in some aspect of your life as well, even if you didn't personally get a past life reading. I know that there's aspects in people's past lives that is an aspect of all of us, because remember that we are all one. So for this short meditation, very brief meditation, I want us to be in an energy of release. You know, anything that we're holding on to from these past lives, from our present life, our future lives, to help us to release that so that we can stay within the present moment, so that we can take the lessons with us without carrying a heavy burden, so that we could take the healing with us again without it being a burden on our back, but instead an aid. So, thank you, thank you, thank you to my lovely moderators for helping me stay on top of these things. Dana said, thank you so much. That was amazing. Thank you, thank you. Jahid said, what a powerful channeling. Much gratitude. Definitely. All right, you guys. I have my little meditation crystal here, my little Lodolite. I'm gonna have a sip of tea, and let's go ahead and let's get meditation here. Let's work on some release. Okay, so I am going to turn the camera so you guys have a better view to look at other than my mug. All righty. So we have this beautiful snowy landscape for you. Okay. All right, you guys, go ahead and find a nice, comfortable space. It could be laying down in your bed, sitting in a chair, sitting underneath a tree, just a place that's comfortable for you where you will be uninterrupted for the next 5 to 10 minutes. And as you start to get yourself nice and situated, I want you to bring your awareness to your breath, breathing in and out. not passing any sort of judgment on your breath, just noticing its frequency. How deep is the breath? Where do you feel your breath? Is it in your throat? Is it in your tummy? Do you feel the breath throughout your body? And when you release, where do you release your breath from? Where do you feel it? Is it really shallow? Is it deep? Just continue breathing. If you notice other thoughts popping in, nod your head, acknowledge them, and let them pass on by. We'll have plenty of time to think on those thoughts later, but right now we're bringing our awareness back to our breath. And the breath is what we're going to focus on for this meditation. I want you to envision yourself in a place that's most comfortable for you. Perhaps you envision yourself in the middle of a meadow. Maybe you're floating amongst the stars. But go to a place where you feel absolute peace and serenity. I want you to imagine how it looks in all its color and detail. Is there texture? Can you feel it? Can you taste it? Are there sounds? Do you smell a fragrance in the air? And while you are in this place of total serenity, peace, and relaxation, we're going to bring our awareness back to our breath. And on our inhale, we are going to inhale all of the light, all of the lessons, and all of the healing that we've been afforded through our past lives, our current life, and our future life. I want you to take a nice deep breath in. Feel it in the diaphragm, in the stomach. Feel it all the way to the tips of your toes and the top of your head. Fill it with all of those beautiful lives that you've had, you have, and you will have. Let their energy fill your soul. All these fragments, these aspects of yourself, allow them to fill every cell in your body, every muscle, every organ, every patch of skin. Feel the different energies that you have been and that you will be and that you could be. Allow those energies to become your guides. Having lived these various lives so that you could grow in this present life, and living the present life that you have so that you can grow even further in your future life, and showing gratitude to all aspects of yourself, past, present, and future. Thank you for helping my soul to grow, helping me to see myself in others. And as I grow, they too grow. As I heal, so does the collective heal. And on your exhale, I want you to exhale all the heaviness, the weight of the traumas, the weight of darker lessons, and keeping with us the light and releasing the dark, while understanding that there was lessons within that darkness, but we no longer need to carry it with us. So we thank the darkness, we thank the heaviness, and we release. And try to continue breathing in this intentional manner. Breathing in all of the fragments of yourself, filling your entire being, and then releasing what no longer serves us. And what we leave behind is the healing, the lessons, the light, and the love, gratitude, oneness. And as we continue breathing, we thank ourselves for the times that we were the villain, the times that we were the hero, the times that we were oppressed, and the times that we were the oppressor, the time that I was the soldier, and the time that I was the victim. Light and dark, yin and yang, we've been all of it. And by embracing the all that we have been, we can show more compassion to those that we see as our opposites in this lifetime. We show compassion for the villain because we too once were the villain. We show compassion for the dictator for once we too were the dictator. We show passion for the oppressor for we too at one point were the oppressor. But having been these lives, we know how to heal from them. And remember, as we heal from them, we show the dictator, the villain, the oppressor, how to heal, because we can heal ourselves. Continue breathing and releasing. And when you feel ready, show gratitude and love for all of the energies that you feel swirling within your soul. Thank you for the light and the dark. And bring your awareness back into the physical form. You can wiggle your fingers and toes. And when you feel called to, go ahead and open your eyes. All right, you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me in this live chat. Woo! What a live chat it was. Thank you, thank you, thank you to everyone. Thank you all for being here. John says they feel as many as the snowflakes. Yes. Karen said, love, hugs, and orange juice to you all. Thank you for being present. Peg said, thank you. That was awesome. Thank you guys. I'll make sure to single out this meditation and make this into a separate video for you guys next week, or for anybody who missed the live chat and maybe just wanted to catch the meditation. Thank you. Thank you to my wonderful patrons. Mwah! Love you. Thank you, my YouTube members, my subscribers, everybody who came into the chat, everybody who chitty chats, everybody who lurks, everybody who did the super chat, super stickers today. All my moderators, thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. And I will catch you guys next week. We'll see what you guys choose for the theme of next week. All right, catch you later. Peace, love, and chicken grease. Mwah! Peace out. Bye, guys.